What's the word, everybody? It's your boy Melly Mel, aka Tress, alongside Fab and Blaze, and this is Wavestarterz Podcast EP5. Today we're joined by a special guest. She's a young Black activist, relentless in her pursuit for change and justice. She's known for her catchy slogan, "This stops today." Standing firmly on the front line for Black lives, we have Emerald Garner, daughter of Eric Garner, with us. We're going to talk to Emerald. But before we do, please subscribe to these platforms: Anchor, Breaker, Radio Republic, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Also follow us on Instagram at Wavestarterz Podcast and on Facebook, Wavestarter516. Emerald, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Word, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So let's get to it, Emerald. Again, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure. So, what made you get into the activist movement? Like, even before the George Floyd situation and the actual Black Lives Matter movement, were you involved in any type of protest or anything like that prior to any?
Well, prior to 2014, I've never attended a protest. I've never attended a civil rights meeting, gathering, anything like that. So I just basically like to say that I was bullied into activism because if my father wasn't murdered, then I don't think that I would have such a pivotal role in the movement.
Right.
After what happened with my father, it was like I was thrust into activism, interviews, going here, going there, doing different, media hits, standing on stage with Reverend Sharpton, traveling around the world to talk to young people, traveling around to talk to, college students.
Right.
I built a really good relationship with UCLA, so I go out there every year and I speak with college students from UCLA. So it was just a lot. So it started to like break me down, and I always use my sister as a reference because she didn't survive the movement. She put her all into activism, and after she passed away, I was like, wait, hold up, like I see myself, like going crazy. And just like, burning myself out. So after I took her 2 children, after she passed away, I took a step back. And then now, as we fast forward into introducing the Eric Garner law last year and not hearing anything, we didn't hear anything from the federal government for 5 years. The grand jury, they took a long time to decide and they didn't indict the officer. So it's just like, enough is enough. So last year, after the federal government decided that they were not going to do anything, and what was disrespectful to me is that they released a statement and an article before they even told us what their decision was. So I threw the book, turned up, and went outside the courthouse, and I started going off because I'm just like, how disrespectful are you to even have a statement to be released before you even talk to the family? And
Right.
that's what I was tired of. I'm tired of finding things out on social media. I'm tired of people shutting the door in my face and overshadowing the fact that that's my father, and I'm going to speak about him. And I don't want anybody to take away from what I'm doing. Like, and that's the bottom line. And it's like, I don't doubt that if I didn't go outside that office and yell and scream the way I did, they wouldn't have fired them officers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one officer, they wouldn't have fired him because I think they see too much calm. They see too much, let's be civil, let's talk calm and peaceful. And it's just like, no, fuck that. I'm tired of talking peaceful. Sorry,
Peacefully, right.
I'm tired of talking with regular, I'm so sorry. Now it's like, no, let's do something.
Facts.
Right.
Okay.
And I definitely I salute you for that, for not giving up, even with after your dad's passing, with all that stuff that was going on, with your sister. It's like things were hitting you one after the other. I'm glad that you strong. I'm like how you speak. You're very vocal. I like that. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So
Yeah.
You told me since I was like 11 years old. So
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So I think that played a big part in, getting these guys off their asses to, do something about what they did, So I appreciate you for that, all the speeches you're doing. And, I'm happy that you did not give up. And the main thing that you mentioned was taking on your sister's kids. That's real.
Yeah,
I salute you for that.
Yes, and my daughter was 8. My daughter was 6 when my sister passed away. So then my nephew, he was only 4 months. So he was only 4 months when she passed away. So she didn't even get his
Didn't know. Yeah. Wow.
So, he was really young. So he doesn't have any of those moments. And my niece, when she came to me, she's like, well, at least she looks like my mom. And I was just like, oh, like, a just like, you know, it didn't really register to her. So
right.
So to have the two children, they've been driving me crazy. So don't get it twisted. I'm
You're
not even
doing your
gonna
thing though.
and say that everything is all peaches and cream, because it's really not. It's a bunch of diapers and dishes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
A whole lot of
go
sit down, go to sleep, stop touching this, don't touch it, go make pee pee.
Yeah.
Who smells like doo-doo? So, you know, it's a lot of that, but I mean, I wouldn't have it any other kind of way. Like, we went from living in a cramped 1-bedroom for a year to now we have 3 bedrooms. We have the space that we need. We have
That's beautiful.
That's
God blessing you.
Remote learning.
Facts.
So, you know, now I'm teaching them stuff, and you know, I'm a little teacher now. So
nice.
So I'm a homeschool teacher now. So
that's what's up.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I know you said you got bullied into activism. What steps would you give kids like that want to engage into activism
Or be a part of activism.
I think that it's funny because I was just talking about this in my last interview. I was just interviewing Eton Thomas, and I told him, like, you know, for me, like, you know, I had 22 years with my father. Mm-hmm. So when I look at, you know, George Floyd's daughter, rest in peace, George Floyd, he has 2 older children, which I just found out. I'm an older daughter, older son, and he has 2 grandkids. So I was like, for them, they're going to see exactly what I've seen for the past 5 years, which is continuously seeing your loved one die on TV.
Yeah.
People are not being sensitive enough to say, let me take a step back and let me not ask them, let me not pull them in different directions. Because right now it's going to feel like I got to get the story out. I got to make sure people understand. I got to make sure people know. Mm-hmm. But for me, what I would tell them is to take a step back, take care of your mental health, you know, join a local organization. And even if you don't want to join a local organization, talk to the victims. You know, everybody goes and talks to the activists. And it's just like, while I appreciate you, activists, while I appreciate you talking for me, I have a voice for myself. I have my own voice. I have something that I want to say. So, like,
sure do.
You know, right. So it's just like, you know, talk to me and let you know, like, you know, give us a open door like this is open door policy. So I should be able to talk to you about how I'm feeling. I should be able to talk to you about what I feel. But in most cases, it's just like, oh, you're just sad, and they stop there. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, I'm sad, I'm angry.
It's a clout thing. It's no real emotion. They don't have no real emotion with them.
And the activists move on to the next story. So they move on. Okay, so my father happened in July. Right. Mike Brown happened in September, in August, and then in September, end of September, early October, then Sandra Bland happened, and then this person happened, and then that person happened. So it's on to the next, on to the next. But for me, I'm still worried about
your dad.
I can't. It's like you know, even in a lot of my interviews, you're asking me about George Floyd, but I'm still fighting for the Eric Garner law. And it's like, if we would have got this law passed before, George Floyd would be with us today.
True.
But I don't doubt that.
Absolutely.
He died the same way. He died from his throat being crushed, pretty much. Right. And that's the same thing that happened to my father. Although it wasn't an arm around the neck, it was a knee to the neck. But it's like, come on, it's the same thing. So you just gonna keep killing us.
Same concept.
Same concept.
Over and over again, and you think that we're not supposed to be turned up. That's why the world turned up.
Yeah, they tired.
They have no leaders.
They're tired.
Leaders. All you see is organizations bashing other organizations.
Yeah, where are the real leaders at?
Where the real leaders at? Like a lot
I
of
definitely asked that too.
A lot of people come from Reverend Sharpton. I say for him as a person, I salute him. Half of the things that, like most of the things, everything that I know about activism, I've learned from Reverend Sharpton. There was not another organization that stepped in to show me what it's like to plan a march, to organize the people, having a database, like, you know, doing different information sessions, putting myself out there. Like, I've learned most of those things from attending the National Action Network Youth Huddle with his daughter, with his daughter. I was about to say Reverend Ashley Sharpton, but she's not a reverend. Just Ashley, like learning from her and having different conversations with her. I even have a conversation with him, like, hey, Rev, what should I talk about? I want to say this. So how I need the language. Like, I would text him and be like, hey, Rev, I want to talk about boom, boom, boom. And he would be like, okay, so this is how you word it. That's how you talk about it. You hit your points and you get off. You're going to mostly, like, I noticed from working around them that you get about 30 seconds on TV when you're on TV. So they're like, Emerald, you talk too fast. You talk too fast, but you got to remember, I'm thinking about getting my 30 seconds in there before they go on to the next story.
So he became like another dad for you, basically, then, right?
Yes, he came like a father
That's
figure,
awesome.
a mentor.
That's awesome.
Like, you know, I would call him, I would talk to him, I would go to National Action Network. I worked for National Action Network. I worked right there at the House of Justice for a whole year, answering phones and telling people my name was Denise when my name was really Emerald. So it was just like, you know, I wanted to know what that process was. I wanted to know what it was to be an activist. And I always say I'm not an activist. I'm just an advocate for my father. So if people are like, oh, you're an activist, you're a leader, you're this, and I'm just like, I'm just Emerald. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, I ain't shit, because I am somebody.
Right,
but
absolutely.
I just want to say it like, you know, it to me, it's like I'm just Emerald speaking for my father. Because if he died of a heart attack behind closed doors in a hospital, nobody would know his name. So that's how I look at it.
So Emerald, speaking of the Eric Garner law, I've seen the New York State Assembly passed the Eric Garner Chokehold Act on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. For the people that don't know, can you explain exactly what the act is and the importance behind it?
Yes. So the Eric Garner anti-chokehold bill, aka the Eric Garner law, because we're trying to make it law, it was passed on a New York State level. So now a chokehold is a felony. So that means that if this bill was in place when this cop murdered my father, he would go to jail and he would face felony charges. So that's basically what we want to implement in all the states, and we want to make it a federal crime. So I just got endorsement from Kirsten Gillibrand, and she actually called me on my phone. I don't know how she got my number, but she called me and she was like, you know, I want to present the Eric Garner bill was presented to the Congress and presented on the assembly level, and that's great. But we want to make chokeholds illegal on a federal level. And I was like, you know, that's exactly what I've been fighting for, because when it was introduced the first time, I didn't have a seat at the table. So now that they're saying, okay, now we want to introduce it at a federal level, and we're going to include Emerald because that's his daughter.
As they should.
As they should.
Yeah, they should.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel like, you know, nobody should be excluded. I think everybody that's in the family, not the extended family or the play cousins.
So like you're throwing shots out there. It sounds like
yeah, it's a lot of shots. I'm in a comfortable space. But like, you know, if something like this was open to all family members, to all, you know, survivors, because that's what I'm calling myself, a survivor. I'm not calling myself a victim. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. So I pretty much teamed up with you know, Angelique Kearse, that's Andrew Kearse's wife. He died in the back of a police car in 2017, basically saying that I can't breathe, and he suffered a fatal cardiac arrest in the back of the police car. And they dragged him out of the car. It took 7 people to drag him out of the car and take him to the precinct. So you couldn't tell me that he was alive when that happened. But that's another conversation, because I'm very passionate about that, because it's like,
I could hear it.
Like it was just like, come on, and you just hear him say it.
Another one,
And he left behind like 10 kids. And now his wife has 4 young children. So they're missing him, and they're young children. His oldest is like 21, and his youngest is like, how old is baby girl? She's about 7, 6. So it's like it's hard. Like she's not an adult like me, so she can't process things like me. So they're missing their father. So for that to happen, I was just like, they don't understand now, but in the future they will understand what their mother did in their father's name. And then for me, it's like my kids, because I can't say my niece and my children would know what I did for my sister, their mother, and their grandfather, her aunt, and their grandfather.
Definitely.
I want them to know, like, you know, this is like, it doesn't have to stop at, oh, we're just protesting. The real change comes in legislation. The real change comes in revamping the police department. The real change comes in, you know, working with your assembly members and your elected officials. Like I'm campaigning for de Blasio to be put out of office. I know that
I don't blame you.
His last term, but I just feel like he just got to go, because that officer, the officers in Minneapolis, they got fired within 48 hours. De Blasio, what's your excuse?
He dragged it out.
5 years.
It was no excuse.
For me to have a meeting with him, and he sits there and says, I can't do this and I can't do that. And I was like, you know, well, then the meeting is over. If you're just going to sit here and tell me what you can't do, then what's the point of us having a conversation? I came here to find out what you can do.
Right.
I said, you stand with me in a press conference and tell me that you support that the officer needs to be fired.
That it was wrong.
That he needs to be fired. He could have been put that in place.
Fired. And I said, and he's like, oh, it's not up to me. And I said, you're a liar. Like,
Yeah,
I caught him lying to his face. So
That's
like,
crazy.
I can't.
I would have too.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell
we need to
yeah.
get the elected officials that don't like. That's where the change is going to happen. Get the elected officials out that are not doing anything. Get the opportunists out. People that just want to be in front of a camera. Like, okay, you're the public advocate. You're the assembly member. You're the Congress member. What are you doing for us? Because we voted for you.
Right.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
need to know what you're doing. So I think everybody needs to get to know their legislative parties. Like, we have to lean on the Republicans. We know the Republicans are not for Black issues. So what do we have to do to appeal to the Republicans? So that's what the plan needs to be. We need to come up with a solid plan. I'm doing my research. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I'm working with Senator Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand, and we're going to be doing a national call. We're going to be calling out all the elected officials. We're going to be doing some really great things on social media because I can't go out with that Rona. I can't because I have these kids in the house. I have asthma. My grandmother's 95, and I need her to be here as long as I need her to be here. So I can't go out and protest and hit the streets like I really want to. But it's other things that I can do. Like
absolutely.
activism doesn't stop at protesting. So that's why I tell people, they're like, oh, you're not out protesting, but there's other things you could do. There's other things like calling your local elected official and asking them why they're not pushing the Republicans to vote for this bill. So that's where it starts. So
being that you not doing protests and stuff like that, or you choose a different lane to seek change, did the Floyd family ever reach out to you, or did you reach out to them to try to have like a combination of anything?
Well, I haven't reached out to them specifically because I know that they're being pulled in many different directions. They have so many interviews. My grandmother was out there. So, that's an extension of my family. So, I didn't.
Grandma went out there?
She went out there. She was on a private jet with Reverend Sharpton. Boom.
Okay, Grandma.
Grandma said, let's go, baby.
I hope I get that same type of treatment when I'm ready to go somewhere. But, we ain't going to talk about that. But, she did go out there, and that's an extension of the Eric Garner family. Like, he doesn't just have a mother. He doesn't just have a daughter. He has a sister, a living sister. He has grandchildren. He has 2 grown sons. He got a little baby girl over there. So it's not just me. I don't represent the whole family. I don't represent the Garner family. I represent myself. And that's all I can do. So it's like, I didn't reach out because I know they're being pulled in different directions. And they had so many memorials and funerals and demonstrations and everything. And I was like, let me not come in. I was gonna wait till everything calmed down because there's gonna be a time.
You don't want them to feel how you felt, basically, then, right?
I don't want them to feel how I felt with being pulled on each other. I know that his brother tried to reach out to me to invite me to the march in Brooklyn. The message that I sent to them is that I won't be able to make it, but I do want to have a conversation with him offline. And I never heard anything else after that. So I don't know if it's because the person didn't give him my message, or maybe they gave him the wrong message, but I am working on trying to reach out to him and reach out to the family and, send them my love and light and stuff like that. I just don't know. I ain't connected like that. I ain't got it like that. So
listen, with all that you're doing, I'm sure you're gonna reach him anyway and everybody else. So
they'll reach out sooner or later.
I'll figure it out.
Emerald, you laying the blueprint right now, man. You laying the blueprint.
And I'm actually working with other people, with other families like Angelique. Her issue happened in her husband's murder. Let me use my terms correctly. Her husband's murder happened in Schenectady. So with Schenectady is a little different. So she did a lot of work with that. Like I said, I didn't have a seat at the table. Nothing included me. Like everywhere that I could be shut out, I was shut out. So now I have to just kick doors down. Like, listen, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And
it's like that. It's like that sometimes.
So it's like, I understand everything is all nice, but then when I have to start getting aggressive and I start to use my,
you have to.
I want to say my corporate strong arm, because I was administrative assistant for foster care, and that's a battle in itself. Being told no, like for my program, for my students, my dorm project students, being told no wasn't an option. My AVP was like, okay, you got to know. So how are you going to turn that no into a yes? So I got a couple strategies and a couple of things under my belt to get a yes out of a no.
Yeah,
so
nice. You have to. The system ain't made for us, so you have to.
It's not made for us. So we made the blueprint, and we need to make sure that we're the elected officials, that we're the people that's representing our communities. Because these people come from upstate Connecticut, Pennsylvania, other states, and they come here and say they want to represent the people, but you're not a part of that population.
Right.
So we don't want you here. We want you to go represent your state. Go represent your area. Don't come here and try to talk for us, because we can speak for ourselves.
Hey, there you go.
Absolutely.
Period.
I want to get back to the Eric Garner anti-chokehold act. What was the process to get that?
For me, like I said, I didn't have a seat at the table when it was first introduced. I didn't have any of those processes. But what I'm learning is that now, if you want to get a law passed in your state, you need to reach out to your congressperson, your assembly person, and your elected officials. All of your elected officials. So in my state,
it was like a whole chain of command you got to go
chain
through.
of command, and this is what they're in those positions for. Your assembly people, that's what they're in those positions for, to fight for the people. So you need to first talk to your elected officials about setting up committing to a meeting. So they need to commit to a meeting offline. So I would advise, if you are a survivor and you're a part of that family, you commit to a one-on-one meeting. That means no representative, no media, no nothing. Create a safe space for your elected official to have open communication with you, whether it's somebody that represents their office or it's them directly. So I would say create a safe space so they know that they won't be ambushed and they won't be bombarded. And it's not good to kind of to bombard them because they're here for you. So let them show you who they are before you start to ambush them. So like when we did our national call, we let everybody know, hey, we have 3 questions from each survivor. So don't go off of those questions. These are the questions on this particular call. You can ask all the questions you want to ask on a call offline, but just make it very clear to the other party that you will have a direct conversation. So that transparency is everything, and that's what I'm seeing now. So, letting people know, like, I'm very angry, I'm upset, I might say a little bit of curses, but this is what I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that create the safe space first.
The passion brings that out. That's what happens. Don't even worry about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So that's what you do. So creating a rapport with your elected officials in your state. That's the first step.
So, Emerald, in the case of George Floyd, do you feel like justice will be served? And if so, do you think police have a different approach upon pedestrians?
I think that the blatant disrespect is obvious. I feel like, the disrespect from some police officers, not all, is I don't care attitude. If you look at the press conference that the NYPD had after all of the bills were passed, they're basically saying, don't label us as thugs. Don't label us as animals, and we're here to protect the people. But then you have a whole lot of videos of them.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
Then you have a whole bunch of the Sandra Bland video, my father's video,
right?
Rodney King's video. Everybody's video compiled into this one thing, and you're telling us not to call you monsters and thugs, and that's all you've shown us.
That's all they displayed.
So it's like, for me, I do think that a step in the right direction was those officers getting arrested. Now let's make the charges stick.
Right.
So they were already saying that it's going to be hard to prove the intention in order for you to have second-degree murder. So this is what I hate. I don't like people that talk in circles. So for me, I'm very direct. I'm very straightforward, and I hate when people ask me the same questions 15 times. And that's what people do when they talk in circles. They try to say the same thing in different ways to try to
confuse you. Yeah.
Right.
People react to it. So I don't like that. So when they said the charges was third-degree murder, I was like, wait, hold up. Third-degree murder means if we all go to a party and Jamel decides that he wants to kill somebody and we're sitting in the living room and we don't call the cops, that's third-degree murder. Basically,
that's wild.
They're in the same place with somebody that got murdered. So the cop who had his knee on the neck, that is not justice. That's not saying anything but F you. That's basically what it is. Second-degree murder means that you intended to kill this person. So that's why they said they have to prove intent. Now, first-degree murder is that you premeditated this. You absolutely murdered this person. So that's why they keep bringing up the history between George Floyd and the officer, because they worked at a nightclub. And then he had a relationship with his daughter. I don't know what that relationship was. I don't know if it was not a relationship. Sorry, they had a picture.
I'm like, wait, what?
Inside the nightclub. Him and the daughter and a whole bunch of other girls. It was George Floyd and it was a bunch of girls, and one of the girls allegedly was the officer's daughter. So I don't know if that was so that's been put out in the public. I don't know how true it is. That's what I'm saying, allegedly. So there's a lot of missing pieces to this. So that's why I said like he had a history, just like Pantaleo had a history with my father. Pantaleo knew exactly who my father was, and that wasn't the first time that he encountered that officer.
Wow.
So
on the video he mentioned that. He's like, I told you before.
Every time you see me. So everybody's missing those points. So when everything first happened, that's why I started to say, that's why I automatically copy, wrote, and trademarked This Stops Today. Because it's like, he told y'all that it's going to stop today because you've been bothering him.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes.
Oh,
I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I watched the video inside a courtroom with Pantaleo while he was sitting right there. That was the first time me watching that video. So that's why I was like, I kind of understand why my sister got so burned out, why she was so, why she was so passionate, because this is the blatant disrespect that she was talking about. So when they repealed PA, it's like, okay, this is exactly what she was fighting for. She protested in front of that police department every day for a whole year, every Tuesday and Thursday, even if she was by herself.
Nice.
So that's what I said. Like, people are discounting the fact that we've been fighting for this for 5 years. This is not something that just came up. A lot of things that I do are not publicized, and I'm okay with that. I don't like being in the media. I stutter. I talk out the side of my mouth, and I don't keep straight eye contact with cameras and shit. So I like that. For me, that's why I didn't do a lot of public speaking. But then it's like, okay, hold up. Now y'all missing the message. And they keep saying, oh, he resisted. Let's get this shit clear. There was no resisting. My father was a licensed boxer, and he was 500 pounds. So if you wanted to
so he could have watched all of them then.
He could have just
He should have. Shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, come on. Like, I just want people to understand those little.
See that? I don't even think the public knows that you're saying that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's like, that's why I've been talking about it.
That's
and
crazy.
It's like, that's why I want to build a platform for myself and a platform for other survivors. We're going to call ourselves the Survivor Network. My attorney actually just gave me that. And it's just like, I want to bring, like, people always ask me, how did you get media attention for your father? It's like, I don't know. Like, we got a call from Reverend Sharpton, from Cynthia Davis out on Staten Island, and that's how it took off. Like, a lot of the things, like when it came to the lawsuit and all that other stuff, people think, oh yeah, y'all got all this money, but the lawsuit was split 7 ways. 7 ways. So it's like, I didn't get $1 million. I had 22 years with my father. I didn't get no big payoff. I didn't get no change of life money. So it's like, people are missing the point. So I think that this is where
and most people think like that too. Like, okay, you lost somebody, so you about to get paid. That's it. You know what I mean? Get over it.
I'd rather have my father back than have the money.
Of course.
The money ain't bring nothing but drama.
Yeah.
That's what money does.
Money doesn't turn. Listen, I learned some things about some people that I never knew before. So it's just like, it just bring a whole bunch of drama. So I'd rather not have it. So it's like, these officers, they really don't know what they do to the families when this stuff happens.
Traumatic.
Like Angelique back behind with 4 kids, 4 special needs children, because they have special needs. She has to deal with them. She's a full-time postal worker, so it's not like she's just sitting on her ass doing nothing. She was worked for the post office for 11 years.
Right.
So, she was married to her husband. They had an apartment. They were living life, and he was incarcerated for 2 years, came out and got murdered 15 days later. So you don't understand the mental trauma that this woman had went through. And you don't know what you did to this family. So I feel like nobody's really talking about that part. And that's the most important part. Like, nobody's understanding the mental health, the mental strain that it takes on you.
That's very, very. Right. So
Erica is an example. Like, nothing like this has ever freaking happened in the history of police brutality. You have somebody who dies, and then his daughter dies right after, and then his stepfather dies right after. Like, it just doesn't happen. It just does not happen. So it's just like, I don't want people to get lost. I don't want them to start focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on the bigger picture. Focus on what we need to do in the future. Focus on what's real right now.
So is anybody, or including yourselves, like, has been or is seeking therapy, or are they getting therapy of any kind?
Well, I don't know what type of therapy. I don't think my niece was getting therapy before she came with me, but as soon as I got her, she went straight into therapy, because my daughter, she has an IEP.
That's beautiful.
Therapy. She gets OT, so she was already getting that. And then when my father passed away, it started to be weird. Like, her language was a little bit off. Like, she was, I don't know. Like, it really took a toll on her, because she was really close to my father and my mother, and they had just went away for the weekend before that he was killed. So we had like 3 weekends of doing family events, and then this happened.
All of a sudden, just
Right. So now she's in she was in play therapy. So she was in play therapy, and then after I got my niece, so she was in play therapy for almost 3 years, and I did therapy with her. And then when my niece came, we started to do group therapy. When I went back to college in 2016, I had a therapist, and I also the medical examiner that did my father's independent autopsy, his daughter ended up becoming my doctor for me and the kids. She worked in the clinic that I was going to.
That's
So
crazy.
she couldn't tell her father that I was her client. So I had to tell him myself. So we ended up crossing paths because my mom did a movie and he was a part of it. So it was just crazy how the world went around.
Yeah.
And I walked into the doctor's office. She was like, "You're Emerald Garner." I know.
She knew off the bat. She knew off the bat.
So, and then she became our doctor. So now it's like I text her, I talk to her. She's like, she's like, "I'm not a therapist, but if you need to talk, I'm here for you. Take care of yourself."
Of course, that's good. That's good.
Change your eating habits, change things, like, get that blood pressure down, get that sugar down, whatever. I don't want you to get diabetes. And then at one point I was just like, I got a lot of chest pains, I got a headache, I got this. And she was like, "Emerald, are you concerned about what happened with your sister? Do you think it's gonna happen to you, or are you really having these pains?"
Stressed out, yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I really don't feel like, I think it's really in my head. And then when she gave it to me like that, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm just nervous. I'm scared all the time. I feel like I got anxiety. Like, I'm afraid that cops will run into my house. I'm afraid that if I get arrested, that they would not give me, not give me the proper, like, I feel like they would arrest me extra, make my handcuffs extra tight. But my head,
because they know who you are, or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, if I'm afraid to call paramedics. If I call paramedics, "Oh, you're the Emerald Garner child. You're Emerald Garner child."
Right.
Let's deprive you of medical attention. Let's not give you oxygen if you need oxygen. We're not going to give you medical attention. So it's a lot of anxiety that comes with it. And I think people don't understand that.
Definitely.
That's crazy that you mentioned that with trauma and stuff, because we mentioned that in one of our episodes about police officers, the brutality situation they're doing to us. You feel the same way. You get pulled over. You feel that, like, things could go really bad for you.
Yeah, PTSD.
Because you don't know what's on this cop's agenda. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you don't know. Just like they said, I'm going to use their words against them. You don't know what their intentions are. You can't prove their intentions. So how would I know what your intentions are when you're basically saying that you were scared of my father because he was a big guy? I'm a big girl. I'm about 6 feet.
Yeah, let them know.
And I talk with my hands. So you're going to be scared if I be like, I'm putting my hands up, "Oh, she was threatening me." I don't carry weapons and shit. I don't do that. But you're going to say, "Oh, she had a weapon?"
Yeah.
I could be reaching to pull my glasses up.
Right.
Be afraid? Like, that's real shit. Like, I get scared when I'm driving in a car. I don't drive around by myself. I don't. Like, if I can't have somebody in the car with me, I'm not driving. Sorry, I'm not doing it. Because if I get pulled over, like, how much anxiety I had, like, getting pulled over, going to DC. I was just like, I stopped in the middle lane. They said, "Boop, boop." I stopped right there. They were like, "You gotta pull over to the side." Listen, I don't know how to move right now. I don't know if I move over to the side, you think I'm trying to make a fast getaway. So you got to give me clear instructions. So that it does build a lot of anxiety.
Definitely.
Jeez, man.
It's a lot of PTSD.
So it's a lot you're dealing with, and I'm happy that you have the strength that to pull through and keep going. I always tell people to keep going, and I see that you're doing that. So you know what I mean. Your voice, you just keep doing your thing. Stay positive, and don't stop what you're doing. Because
ever since I know Emerald always been strong vocal? Since a kid. Vocal, definitely since a kid, definitely. But this situation brought out the strength probably she didn't even know she had.
Yeah.
Taking care of your sister, kids, standing behind your pops. I know they looking down at you, proud as ever, getting the law passed.
Pops, sister, everybody.
This is big, man. This is big news, man. I'm definitely proud of you, Emma. You already know. I'm
yes. Definitely. I was just looking at our pictures from my birthday party at the 4040.
Yeah.
That was a good night. That was
That was a
great night.
That
was my first birthday party too.
Oh man. Right. And the 4040 to set it off, it was definitely a great night.
Yes, like we were so focused on the party that we didn't even get a birthday cake. It was my birthday party. We didn't even get a birthday cake.
We was in different rooms. We was in different rooms all night.
Party for the cake. It was my cousin's friend's birthday as well, so we went to his birthday cake and just sang happy birthday over his cake. He said it was okay. So
right.
We forgot our cake. Can we sing happy birthday to me over here?
Right.
So it was cool. It was definitely cool. Like, I appreciate you. You've been family for years. So,
for years.
You know me since I was 11. I'm about to be 30. So
there you go.
Ooh, damn, that's a minute.
Let me count that up.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody.
So yeah, definitely. I definitely want to keep the conversation going. Like I said, I'm doing my podcast, so like we can catch up on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll catch up on your.
We'll
podcast.
come to your podcast this time. We'll come to your show.
Yes.
Invite us. Let people know where to find you too, Emerald.
Emerald _Snipes. I know it's kind of confusing because everybody see me as Snipes on social media. Like I took on the Eric Garner name after he passed away. That even though that's not legally my name, it's still my legacy. So that's why in the media I say Emerald Garner. And plus I was working. I work. Like I was a manager at Payless, so I didn't want people to say, "Oh, Emerald Snipes, oh you're this," because people had their opinions when everything happened. So I wanted to keep my identity concealed, but now I go under Snipes Garner so people know who I am. But on all social media platforms, it's Emerald Snipes. Emerald _Snipes. I'm probably gonna change it to Garner because everybody just like
Right, that's what they know you as.
They need to see. Everybody's like they need to see, protect your brand and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate you guys. I enjoyed the flow.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Everybody, I said hi.
I will.
Awesome.
And you tell the fam I said hello as well.
I'll tell them. I'll tell everybody. I definitely will, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Be safe.
All right.
Keep going.
Stay safe.
All right.
Thank you.